Hello, people. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of New Mexico. So we have got two new properties we're going to discuss today in this one video. This video is going to be posted on both properties listing pages. The reason we're doing this is that these lots are adjacent. Ergo, pretty much all the information discussed in this video is going to pertain to both lots. Where it does not, I will make specific mention of that. With all of that out of the way, let's get to it. These are reference numbers CBNM-0001, F and G, very logical, our labeling system. Both are located in Cibola County in the northwest part of the state in the ever-popular Pine Meadows Ranch subdivision. Both lots are 5.3 acres, and as you saw up top, the F property is priced at $5,500, and the G property is also priced at $5,500. For the record, if you would like to purchase both of these, that would be a total of $11,000 or $5,500 multiplied by 2. With all of that said, let's pull this up on a map, show you guys exactly where these are. As with all of our listings, come down here, click any one of the hyperlinked GPS coordinates, and boom, up on Google Maps they shall appear. So, this total of 10 acres is located here, sandwiched between Pine Meadows Drive and Mesquite Drive. The F property is the one located on the northern end here, off Pine Meadows Drive, and the G property is located here, off of Mesquite Drive. If you go to map view here on Google, you will not see a plat overlay, so I'd encourage you to go back to either one of these listing pages that you're looking at right now. Come down to the gallery right here. I'm using the F gallery. You'll be able to see not only sort of Google Earth overlay, our representation of the exact size, shape, location of the property, but we also have, check this out guys, the plat map of pretty much the entire subdivision, I believe, as well as a zoomed in version of the plat map to give you a sense of where that exact lot is. And then we also have this illustration of the two separate properties, the F property up top and the G property on the bottom, north and south. Anywho, all right, back to the map, guys. So, for those of you who have not watched one of these Pine Meadows Ranch videos before, and it's been a while since I've done one, this area that you see carved out here, this is Pine Meadows Ranch, and if we pull back a little, it's you're not really going to see it, but it's pretty much all this area right here. That's Pine Meadows Ranch. It's a subdivision of about 3,500 acres. When it was chopped up back in the 70s, this was all Valencia County. Cibola County was born in the early 80s. And so if you go back and you look at the old deeds, or if you're looking at the covenants and restrictions, you'll see that they're written up as Valencia County, as the properties of Valencia County. They're not. They're in Cibola, but it's all old documentation. Cibola was born in 1981, and Valencia was Valencia was much larger at the time. Anyway, all right, so the properties are located right here, just south of the Cibola National Forest, roughly about, I think, 300,000 acres of great opportunities for hunting, etc. You will notice these properties are also very close to the Malpais National Monument, as well as the Morro National Monument. This one's actually much closer, located here off of Ice Caves Road. Of course, you've got the nearby Ice Caves. You've got some other attractions here in Cibola County. Cibola is one of these counties where there's more, I think, cows than people. Or more wildlife than people. So you've got some great parks like Blue Water Lake State Park up here. You can do a lot of fishing. You've got Ramah Reservoir. I was recently corrected on my pronunciation of Ramah. It's Ramah. Anyway, so the reservoir is over here. There's some good fishing over there as well. Blah, blah, blah. And it should be noted that the property sits in very close proximity not only to Ramah, but also to Grants. If we right-click and measure distance, you will see that the land is roughly about, say, 15 miles, 15 minutes into Ramah. Ramah is a small town. If we zoom in here on the map, you're going to see, let me go back to satellite view. You're going to see it's kind of a small town. It's got a Family Dollar over here. It's got a grocery store. It's got a school or two and a church, so on and so forth. So about 15 minutes away from some groceries and supplies. If you're going to need anything bigger, for instance, if you're building out here on the land and you need to go to something like a super Walmart, that would be in nearby Grants over here. Grants, by the way, if we right-click and measure distance yet again, is roughly, let's say, 30 miles as the crow flies. Maybe it's about a 35-minute drive into Grants, whatever the case. If you're not familiar with Grants, if you zoom in here on the map, you're going to see it's a more populated town out here. They've got the Walmart Supercenter, as noted. They've also got an airport out here, a hospital, and, of course, more places to eat, more places to go to school, church, so on and so forth. Grants Municipal Airport, by the way, is what I was trying to find on the map. Anywho, all right, guys, so let's go back and talk about the specifics of the property. So this Pine Meadows Ranch subdivision is very popular. We sold a number of lots out here before. I believe these are popular mostly to people who want to come out here and camp during the summer, or people who want to hunt within Cibola National Forest. They want a sort of hunting location nearby, a place that they could build a kind of cabin. something like that. If you peruse the subdivision out here, you will see people living out here. You will see some homes that are built in the subdivision, but I think it's mostly seasonal visitors to the region. You, of course, can do whatever you like if you buy the land, but I'm just saying, I think there are more sort of snowbirds who come out here rather than permanent residents. Of course, it snows out here, so I don't know why snowbirds would go here. I used the wrong term, but you get the point. Anyway, Pine Meadows Drive is a very well-maintained road. This is one of the main thoroughfares throughout the subdivision. Mesquite is also well-maintained, though it is not a major thoroughfare. If you come back to our photo gallery on each of these, I should point out we had, so first we have the local color, by the way, in this photo gallery here. This is the El Morro Monument that I was pointing out earlier, and these are some shots from that area. And then we get into some local businesses that are out here, diners, things like that. And then finally, ba-boom, Pine Meadows Ranch. So if you're going through the photo gallery here, just know that the Pine Meadows specific photos begin here. This is Wagon Train and Pine Meadows Drive, the corner basically of where, just before these properties. So as you can see, very well-maintained road out here. This is what Pine Meadows Drive looks like, so on and so forth. I think I said it, but I forget, but we have 20 photos taken from this specific property and then 20 photos from the southern property, the G property. Anyway, I'll get back to this in just a second. I just want to point out, this is one of these property-specific notes. The F property, my photographer reports, has more of a dome-shaped topography toward it, quote-unquote, meaning that it has sort of an incline, and then the highest point is probably in about the middle of the property, and it sort of declines as you go south. The G property, according to my photographer, is largely flat and then rises toward the end, as it goes north up toward the F property. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, back to some F photos here. So as you can see from the photo gallery, you get a sense of exactly how pretty this property is, the land out here, what the vegetation is like on the property, some nice trees out here, etc. I should just point out, in regards to power, so if you look at Pine Meadows Drive, you're not going to see any power running along this road. You have to kind of hunt to find some nearby homes in the area that might have power going to them. I don't see any power poles here. I think when we pull back a little bit, you can see one or two out here on this property. I think that's one of them right there. That is the nearest power that I can find with the property. If you zoom in on some of these, you may see power. This one, you can find power on it. Point being, the nearest power that I can tell definitely is down the road here on Pine Meadows Drive, located off of this property. You'll see power out here along the roadway. Point being, I believe this is roughly about a mile from the F property, so a mile from both, let's say. If we right-click and measure distance yet again, we can see that it is, it's about 4,000 feet, so not quite a mile, but far enough. Point being, if you're going to buy these properties and you're looking to build out here, you might want to consider solar as a viable option. May cost a little too much to get power extended out to either subject property. As noted, I scoured the map. That's the closest that I'm seeing power to these two lots. May actually be out there a little bit closer, but my photographer couldn't find it either. So it looks to be roughly about a mile down Pine Meadows Drive is where the nearest power is. FYI. Now, in regards to the F property, I just want to point out to you guys, you can kind of see it on Google Maps here. There is a sort of structure that is on this land. As noted in previous videos, here at Hemingway Land, we buy these properties as is, we sell them as is. And what you'll see here in the photo gallery, we're going to come to it eventually, is this sort of half-built structure. Here it is, this sort of half-built structure that's on the land. Now, some people who we sell properties to really like this, really like getting these sort of, I don't know, these things that they don't know exactly what they're going to get, and then they've got some building materials, and they get something for free basically with the lot. If you're looking at this like this is not something that you want to mess with, then you'll probably be more interested in the G property. The G property does not have a half-built structure on it. By the way, structure half-built, it's got a window, and then there's a satellite dish. So I question the previous builder's priorities here if the satellite dish was installed first. I don't know. You've also got some sandbags, and if we go a little bit more through the gallery, you'll see some kind of cutout here, etc. Additionally, this property looks like the owner was trying to, or had started, building some kind of driveway or gated entrance. They didn't get very far. You've got this, and then there's no fencing along with it. So I think that's probably pretty easy to dig out of the ground, I'm guessing. Additionally, if you go through the photos, you will also see that they put what I'm guessing were the origins of a fence post that they were going to have running along the southern boundary of the property. But they never actually put up any fencing. So just so it's clear, these are not property boundary markers, though they could probably be substituted for that. My guess is they had it surveyed and they figured out that this was the southern boundary of the property. The point being, if you see these when you go out there, they're not boundary markers. They are presumably the beginnings of what was going to be a fence was going to be constructed on the property. Anyway, point being, if you're buying the F property, that's something that you're going to get with it. We will not be responsible for removing any of that from the property. Some of our buyers like the idea of buying land where they get something like that, and some don't. So if you're one of the ones that don't, I'd encourage you to take a look at the G property. You won't have that problem. Anywho, blah, blah, blah. I will let you peruse the photo gallery on your own, as well as the drone video that we have down here at the bottom of the page. This is a drone video of Pine Meadows Ranch itself. It is not property specific. All right, guys, so with all that said, let's say you're interested in either of these properties and you'd like to learn more about these. A couple things up here, a couple pieces of resource that we have for you to do some research. Number one, Pine Meadows Ranch is part of a property owners association. Theoretically, I think all they really do is collect $50 a year for road maintenance fees. I think that's all they really do. Now, I'm going to get into what I think in just a second, but if you click the PDF here, it's going to bring up the covenants and restrictions that were born when this land was subdivided originally. And you can read through these and you can see all of the sort of restrictions that go with the land. Now, let me say this. I am not taking a lot of time on the listing page to get into these. Some of these are obvious. The ones that are not, the ones that are a little picayune, the ones that are a little specific about building, about quote-unquote architectural committees, I honestly do not believe that they apply anymore. And one of the reasons that I say I don't think they apply is because if you pull back on this map and you look at some of the homes that are out here, for instance, this one right here at the entrance to the subdivision, if I zoom in on something and I see multiple cars parked on a property like this, okay, I see a trailer and I see multiple cars, that tells me that whatever sort of aesthetic uniformity they were going for back in the 70s when this was subdivided has been jettisoned in the decades since. And people who are living out there are probably doing whatever the hell they want and building whatever the hell they want. Now, of course, I say interest of full disclosure. If you're buying these properties, there are these covenants and restrictions that go with them. But what I have seen from a few years now of selling property in the subdivision is that it doesn't seem like anyone is conforming to these, whatever restrictions there are, and that you can probably do most anything that you like out there. Now, of course, if you're going to give me $5,500, you should probably investigate that first. You should probably do a little research on your own, which is why we also have here on the listing page some links, some helpful links for you to better research that. Now, down here, Pine Meadows Ranches, the Property Owners Association, they have their own website. You can go here. You can read a little bit about the subdivision itself. It's not an incredibly detailed website. You're not going to really get a lot out of this, but who knows, you might. We also have a link on the listing page here to their owners' Facebook group page. I don't know that this gets updated a hell of a lot, but you can, go on here, you can post, you can reach out to other people who own land in the region, and you can ask them, if you have any specific questions about, hey, I want to do something unconventional like a tiny home or a earthship home or something like that. Is that something that I can pull off in that region? They might tell you, oh, no, Property Owner Association won't let you do that. Or they will tell you, no, they don't care. You can do whatever you want. From what I've observed, they don't care, but you really should get that information from someone who knows better than I do. Blah, blah, blah. Anywho, with all that said, you can take time and peruse this and learn more about the POA. Additionally, guys, we also have some other links up here. Continental Divide Electric Cooperative is the power company that services most of this region. If you click on that, it'll bring up their website. If you want to talk to them about specifically getting hooked up to the grid, what's that going to cost? Say, hey, there's power on the main road, but it's about a mile away. Is that something you could do? Is it affordable? So on and so forth. Those are things I'd want to investigate prior to coming up with my plans about what I'm building on the property. Again, I believe solar is probably the better way to go. There's some very affordable solar options out there these days. And when I look at, again, when I go back to the map and I look at some properties that are out here, I don't see power lines going directly to the property, so I have to believe that there's more than one person in this subdivision who's utilizing solar rather than being hooked up to the grid. FYI. Now, additionally, here we also have the Office of the New Mexico State Engineer. If you want to get permitted for a residential well in this area, or really any part of New Mexico, you're going to need to contact them, permit application, fill that out, so on and so forth. Whatever the case, in regards to the water table depth in this region, I see enough homes out here, I see enough people already with wells that lead me to believe that the water table is fairly accessible. That being said, it's always good to reach out to vendors in the local region, people who drill wells for a living, and ask them, hey, Pine Meadows Ranch, how far down am I going to have to drill? What do you guys charge, on a price per whatever foot basis to get down to the well? I should also point out, as we have written here on the listing page, if you're purchasing the property just for seasonal visits and you really don't want to get into the expense of a well, you should know that the Property Owner Association has a communal well from which you can draw water. Additionally, the nearby Navajo tribe sells and delivers water if you prefer to use a holding tank. So that could be a good option for you as well. For the record, guys, I just want to point out the F property, in regards to the structure that's on the property, that's discussed here in this paragraph right here. The F and G listing pages are largely the same with the exception of this paragraph. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, all right, guys, if these are properties that you are interested in purchasing, either F or G, just come up here to the Buy Now button, click this, and it will bring up the secure checkout page, where we will ask you for some information such as what name or names do you want on the deed, where's the tax address, in other words, where's Cibola County going to send the yearly tax bill, and just some other information. Come down here, agree to the terms of service, click next, and on the next page, enter credit or debit card information, and voila, you have purchased the property. Now, let me say this. This is one that we closed on through Quest Title. So this is one where we got title insurance with the property, so we will be drafting a warranty deed. If you would like to purchase one or both of these, and for the record, if you do want to purchase both, I would encourage you as well to close through a title company. If you're not familiar with that process, basically there's two benefits here. Number one is you're going to get title insurance. Number two is I can't touch your money until such a time as the property's been deeded into your name. So if you're buying one of these, I would recommend just check out on the website. We'll draft a new deed. But if you are, skeptical about that, we can also close through a title company on one or both of these. If you would like to learn more about that process, just come up here to our How It Works page, click on the Buying From Us page, and it's going to bring up this page, which discusses the two different ways in which we close on properties. If we're talking about title escrow, come down here to this section, and you can learn more about how that process works. In short, you put down an earnest money deposit, $500, something like that. We will draft a contract. We sign it, you sign it. We'll submit it to title, and they will do the rest. And usually in about 2 weeks to 4 weeks, Quest Title's pretty good. In about 2 weeks, they'll contact you for the remainder of the money. And again, your funds will not be released to us until such a time as the property has been deeded into your name. By the way, guys, if you would like to see what the sales purchase agreement is that we'll be asking you to sign when that time comes, it looks a little something like this. This is a generic version of one of our standard contracts. Very simple, one page for signatures. Basically, title company will not do anything until they have a document such as this demonstrating intent, quote unquote, from both buyer and seller. So you sign it, we submit it to them, and we let them worry about the rest of the details. All right, guys, with all that said, these are the 2 5-acre properties in Pine Meadows Ranch. As noted, these are popular. Every time I list one of these, they sell pretty quickly because it's a popular region close to a lot of hunting out there in the Cibola National Forest, as well as it's just a really picturesque region. So if you are interested in these, I would encourage you to act sooner rather than later. With all that said, thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next video.